Good evening, guten Abend. Heute ist der Stream auf Englisch. Warum? Seht ihr, habt ihr im Titel gesehen, Gäste habe ich und auch das Thema. Ne? Normalerweise sind wir gerade dabei, so ein bisschen so ein Spiel von mir zu refactoren und so weiter, aber das setzen wir mal für ein paar Episoden aus, weil nächste Woche habe ich auch schon wieder was anderes. Dazu sage ich später was. Jetzt auf jeden Fall ganz, ganz wichtig, ich habe Gäste. Ja? Und zwar zwei Gäste, die ich beide kenne, beide schon relativ lange kenne und die ich auch sehr schätze auf jeden Fall von dem, was sie wissen. Sehr ganz, ganz, also die haben beide ihre ganz krassen Schwerpunkte vom Wissen. Ich glaube, der eine viel mehr gestreut als der andere. Das kann ich gerade gar nicht so richtig einschätzen. Ähm, aber bevor ich jetzt weiter quatsche, ich teile einfach meine Screen und dann seht ihr diese beiden nämlich gleich. Da sind sie. Hi. So we are on screen.
Hello.
Okay,
Hello.
so there is some the sound is okay, your picture's okay. So go ahead. Please introduce yourself. Who want to start?
I can start. Hi, I'm Sander. I'm a senior principal engineer, front-end architect, Angular GDE for, I don't know, almost 10 years. And I'm doing a little bit of Angular stuff, and I'm here tonight to talk a little bit about SignalForms. So,
There are huge quotes around this little bit of Angular stuff, I guess. But let's talk about this later. Okay, next.
Hello, my name is Konstantin. I'm doing software development 20 years now. And from 2012, I'm working with Angular. At that time, it was AngularJS, of course. But I've been working with all major versions in many projects, huge projects. Yes, and I'm also trainer for Angular, and that is also where I met Dave. And I'm glad that I'm here, and I'm very glad that we can talk about this very interesting topic today.
Yeah. Konstantin and was on my screen and we talked about being a freelancer, I guess, and how to
Yeah,
start and how to get projects and gigs. So it was very interesting and very high voted episode by all of you because you loved it and you had a lot of questions. So if you have any question, hit it in the comment and let us know. I will have a look on the chat. Good evening, Easy Ping. Easy Ping is a very special member. He is my he's following me since I don't know how many years. Well, for the very first beginning, I guess. So this is something very special and very even every stream he's here. So it's very important for me to see his name. Thank you and welcome. Okay, let's start off with a warm-up question. Do you remember the day when we met in real life? So on the conference or where?
I'm not sure. Was that NG Vikings?
Oh yeah, it's totally possible in the very first version, right?
I
In
think so, yeah.
2017, I guess it was like this.
Yeah.
Oh. So we know each other for very long time. Konstantin, do you know when this this workshop was where we met?
the workshop I think was around 2018, but maybe we also met earlier on a conference like NG Europe or such. I'm not sure.
Oh,
That was
I have been on all the NG Europe conferences also.
oh you met already. Oh yeah,
Apparently.
that's so fun. So very often I in this situation where I talk to people and then there is this oh wait I can come to your meetup and then this person says you have been already and oh shit. So very often I just can't remember the faces or the names are very bad so So please, if you meet me in on a conference, come to me, say, hey, I know you from the stream or from this conference and so on. I love to talk to you and learn about your story and so on, what you've learned, what you're involved and so on. Okay. The last time when I had Sanders on stream, we had a look on the new features of Angular 20, right? It was more or less the V20 release streams like this, and we sneaked in a topic which is in the Angular community very famous. That Sanders has a very strong opinion about this, and this is forms and the tablet forms, right?
Yeah, I love forms. I never loved Angular forms modules, neither of them. Reactive forms even a little bit less than template-driven forms.
Okay.
But finally, there is a proper forms module landing in Angular.
Okay, so Konstantin, did you have a look or a sneak peek into the topic of SignalForms?
Yes, yes, I had, of course. Yeah, I'm very glad that we get SignalForms because it's really something that is missing now. If you already are using Signals very much in a project, then it is clear that this is a missing piece. So we need it, and I'm very glad that it will come not soon, but we now know.
Well, it will be experimental in version 21.
Yeah.
And if I look at, I've been playing with it for a couple of days now. If I look at the maturity, I have good hopes that it will be a short experimental time, but you can never tell until it is ready when it is ready, as we call it. I hope there will be a short experimental time because this is really something missing and I think critical for Angular to nail this down.
So
what does it mean? What could be the earliest major release containing SignalForms finally? Is it
if all goes
22
well,
or 23?
I hope 22. I hope 22, but I'm not entirely sure. But it is a half year in the future for 22, a little bit more. But if I look at the current iteration already, it's already so stable. And I've also been looking at the roadmap of forms. There is a ginormous list of things that still have to be done. It's experimental. It's really new now. There are rough edges on some places. I have been nagging the Angular team with all kinds of stupid questions around forms and SignalForms because the document, it is not ready yet. So, and we are finding out where the rough edges are. And I have the habit that if I run into a question or if I think like this is not entirely clear, I will just ask and start a conversation because that is the only way we can make this thing evolve as fast as possible.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
Great,
so
great.
I didn't have any single shot into this topic. I heard about it and I followed the chats on the GDE channel of you, Sanders, and all the other people talking about it and asking the question. I was, okay, this sounds interesting. Do I want to dig into it or do I want to have it like the normal way that I just take someone and let it show us at the stream? So I decided this way. So if you want, and if you are some kind of prepared, you are free to show us some code maybe and explain what are the ideas and what are the uh, the what are the problems you
Okay. I will start off with asking you a couple of questions. In our current setup, what is the most problematic thing you have to do inside of forms? If you have to do something, what is the thing you go like, oh no, I hope they don't need X.
For example, validation, cross-field validation, for example.
What
I
kind
have
of validation?
validation concerning more than one field. You have
Yeah.
2 or more fields which are connected in some kind, and you have for the validation you have to use more than one field. I think that's something. It's not too difficult to implement, but it's also not very nice, and you have to write quite a bunch of code to do it.
The thing that I always dread to pick up is if I have an array with subfields, like, okay, I have a contact and the contact has an email or a phone number, and you can have multiple of them. So you have to iterate over an array. I think that is a pain point. There is an even bigger pain point if you have an array with primitives.
Yeah.
Somehow that is even more difficult to do in the current form modules. So I've prepared a little demo. I will start off with a demo. Let me share a screen. This one. Share. Let me see.
Okay.
This is, yeah. So cross-field validation. So you mean something like, okay, if this doesn't fit,
Okay.
and I don't know what the last character was. Nope, I have no idea. Or multiple validations where you have multiple things possible. It cannot be empty. Okay, now it's not empty anymore. Yeah, sorry for the stupid pop-up. That is my password manager. Must be at least 8. Now, so we type a lot of characters. Oh, must contain an uppercase and must contain a number. I have the most stupid thing in there because I want to have like a nice demo. But you see, password don't match. I have no idea what I typed here or what is that. So I'm just going to reload it to get rid of the validation. And then we have something like contacts. We have an email here. Let me check. Oh, that is an invalid email address. Okay.
Can you zoom your browser window?
Probably.
Oh, nice.
Let me make this proper. Yeah, this is a proper email. Oh, let me. Hey, it's now checking the telephone number. Okay. Let's add a contact. Oh, I have an invalid contact type. You see where this is going.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot type letters in there because only numbers and so on. There are tons of validations in this thing. And then I have a small example with text. This is just a string array. Tag cannot be empty. I killed my layout, I see now. Okay, it must at least. Oh, I cannot have duplicate tags. Oh, you see how it goes from field to field.
Yeah.
This is a SignalForms example. So I wrote all of this, and I already wrote this form for template-driven validation, and that was not too bad. But I now did it for SignalForms, and I needed even way less code. So also, even with template-driven forms, I was doing model-driven validation, but that is something we will come back to later on. So now you probably want to see the code. Let's start. Let me get rid of this. This is the whole form. Let me start with the code for it. I have a data service. I have a signal with a number that I want to show, number 1. That is not interesting for this form, so I didn't make much. The relation, which is a writable signal with my sample data, that is my model. That is just a plain normal object.
Mm-hmm.
And then I create a form with this relation, so this signal, and I hook up my validation schema. I will come back to the validation schema later on. That is an interesting topic in itself, but I will unsubmit, but that is not the point of this exercise. Okay. So in here you see the name, input text, name, placeholder, and here is the magic, the control, where I have the form definition name. And I have a show error directive. I will come back to that later because it is early days. Not all validations are hooked up correctly to the UI. And I basically added a small directive to take care of those things. And that is the show that I just add on every input that I want to have visual validations. Date of birth, the password. And you see here the password and the confirm. So that is FD password, FD confirm. And here it becomes a little bit interesting. Remember the contacts?
Yeah.
Here is my field set of contacts, which is just a contacts component, and that takes the field FD contacts. So it takes the field. That's it. Remember, if you wanted to split out the old form modules, what you had to do?
Yep.
None of that anymore. Let me jump to the contacts thing. The contacts component. This is the contacts component. This is all the code for that whole part. So I have an input required of field sample data contact detail. I created a very small typing name.
This is the worst case of object-oriented programming. The name,
yeah. I created a small computed is lost one where I check if there is only one left in my array. Let me go back to the form because what I'm doing, I will always want one. So if I'm going to delete it, I cannot delete the last one. This is now blocked. And that's why I need to know, is it the last one? So it is the types. Yeah, I'm just getting that as an object with the types in there so that I can iterate over the types. Remember the phone, the phone, email, and that's that. Add contact. And here it is interesting because I don't need my model. I don't need any service. I don't need anything. I just get the value out of the form field, and I'm going to inject a new contact detail. And this is just value update. That is just, the value is a signal, so you can just update it, and I'm inserting a new contact there. Remember, if I do this plus, I'm getting the email value and priority, which I didn't name. And that code, if I click on the plus, is this thing. Contacts value update contacts. I spread the contacts and then add an empty one. For the delete, I'm basically doing the same thing. I'm getting my the one that I want to delete, and I'm just filtering update the contracts while filtering out the other one. So the code is really, really simple, and this takes care of everything.
It's really a nice showcase. That's really great. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That was really painful to do with all forms modules and reactive forms, especially with reactive forms. You have to create a form array instance, and then for every value inside the array, you have to create a form control instance.
Remember that I have different validations for every row in there. Think about what you would have to do for reactive forms there.
Yeah, it's really so much nicer and easier. Great example.
Yeah. So now I'm going over to the SignalForms component once more. We have the address, and then we have I'm doing the same trick for the tag components. The text is just a string array, which was always nastier in what we had. I'm doing the same. Where did I put it? Text component, basically the same thing. I'm doing something special here. I will go into that. I'm getting again the field with the text in there. In this case, it's a string array. I don't have anything fancy in typing. It is just a string array, so I'm doing that. Taking fields. I probably need this for something. No idea. I have the is last one again. Same deal as for the other. I don't want to be able to delete the last one. I have a max length. I didn't show that, but there is also, if I add something here, I have an error on the field set, which is a maximum of 7 tags. So I can delete that. Then I lost that one, and now I can. And my field set is correct. So back. So there I'm using the max length is also computed. And I'm checking, this comes from the validation. So there is a max length validation in there probably. And I'm reading the value out of that to update the thing. So then is you can see here max length. And this is getting the max length out of the error. So I defined it in my validation and I'm reading it here. And because I have a field sets are stupid. If you have a field set, you cannot set the field set to invalid in HTML. That is an HTML thing. You have to set a field inside of the field set to invalid, and then the field becomes invalid. So that is why I have the text input. The text input is legend. Where is it? Here. It is this input. It is style display none, so it is an invisible input. But I need that to be able to set the field set to false. That is a little bit stupid. I had to add some code for that, but that has nothing to do with the Angular forms. That has to do with how field sets and HTML works. Again, the same trick: add tag and the delete tag. And the nice thing is this tag component is now fully responsible for handling adding and removing tags, and I don't even need services or anything to deal with this. And the nice thing is my model is directly the data that the form is using, and it is inside of a signal, so it is up to date all the time. It's always in sync. It is always up to date.
So is SignalForm is very similar to the reactive form approach, or is it more similar to the temperature forms?
No. You have written them. Have you seen anything that looks like this? No, it works on a different way because everything, the form has a field, the field has a field state, and all of those things are signals. So field state.error is a signal. Field state, there are a couple of those things. All of those are signals, so you can read them out directly.
Yeah, so it is neither like template-driven forms nor like reactive forms, but
nope.
In one way, I think it is like reactive forms a little bit. In reactive forms, the approach is that you start with the code, within the model, and you define it in code, and you use it in template.
No. I want to set you straight there. You are not defining your model in code. You are defining your form control structure in code, which is different from your model because your model is not related to your form. Your model is what you call a model is normally the data that you get out
call
of
it
your
forms module or view model, whatever. Yeah, you're right. It's not the actual data model. It is a different data structure in reactive forms, and it's also one of the.
This thing is my model, and that is just a normal JSON blob. Let's call it that. It is not really a JSON blob because it is a normal object, but it is a normal object, and this is my model, and that model is up to date all the time. The form wraps around that. If I put something in the model, the form is updated. If I update the form, the model is updated. There is a bidirectional binding that is continue up to date. So it is not the same thing. If you want to add something to your model, you can do that.
Yeah, it's
If
not the same thing. I totally agree with you. The only thing that is, yeah, I mean, it's you
I'm
start on
not
the code.
setting up. I'm not setting up anything here for listing out my fields or anything. I just say, hey, my model form. This is my. Go figure it out. I don't care.
Yeah, I think that it's much better here. For sure,
And
because in reactive forms, you have this like using form builder and form builder.group, and you put something in that looks like your model at first glance, but it is not. You're totally right. It is the form structure. It's called
no,
form control structure, and that's if you do
and
something.
at that point in time, if you create a form control structure, you are basically creating a copy of your data, and now you have two sources of truth that you need to reunite at a certain point in the future, which is a big pain point. So, well, in the way you have to think about it, also in the real sense that this model is not sync, so it reacts on value changes and all kinds of things. There can be like an old value and a new value at the same time. There are all kinds of edge cases there possible. You have none of that here. So this is way more solid than the reactive forms.
I totally agree. I totally agree. I would like to add one point. You said it is you have the data model, and that's true. But I think in real world we will have we will have regularly the case that we still need something like a transformation, and we might have a different model in our API than we have in our forms. So slightly different structures. For example, when it comes to date values.
You use a linked signal from your model and do the transformation there, and then you update it, and then once you save it, you go all the way around. But I think if you're doing transformations on your data just for form editing, there is something off in your whole setup, because doing if transformations are needed for a form, they are probably also needed in the database.
Oh yeah. So I just thought about my my pain points on forms, and yeah, form erase are one of it. Another pain point is dynamic forms, which are automatically generate
You mean like adding things dynamically in an array?
That the whole form is when it should be dynamic to the data, and as you said, you just define the model, but you don't define the structure of the of the of the form. So this makes this step way more easy to just or Signals itself makes it way more easy to build a form which is dynamic. Just iterate with the for add for over the keys.
You can update your model with okay, this choice is made. Now I need to add like 2 different address fields somewhere in my form. You can just add them to your model, and it will. Of course, you need to have something in your template that handles that, but the form there is not an issue anymore. That is just at the moment you put it in your model, it's in the form data, so you can display it.
Can you you said that the something I really love about forms or reactive forms is the validation. This is no pain point for me. It's one of my most loved topic.
Yeah, it's my most hated one.
So we should team up. Maybe we can
take over. Let me explain, because the way reactive forms are set up, in 90% of the cases, all the validation ends up in a component. Where does business logic belongs?
Mhm. Uh, yeah, and normally I would say the business the validation logic belongs to the form group,
No, no,
but
no. It is business logic, right? You
yeah,
are
yeah.
checking the same things on the server, so it's business logic 100%. Where does business logic belongs?
Uh, oh, validation should be when it is business logic validation, then it should be done on the server.
Yeah, but on the front end, you also need validation. And where should this live? Not in a component. And what
No, in the
happens if you are
service.
using it? Should be in a service, yes, or at least in something of its own.
Mhm.
Do you see anything about validation in my code? I'm
No, this
waving.
was the purpose of my question. How do you add validation or custom validation to the signal forms?
Yeah, there is a boatload. I showed you there is a boatload of custom validation going on here, but you find nothing in what I have shown until now.
Mm.
And that is the biggest gain from SignalForms. You can basically separate out your validations into its own thing. You can do that in a service, but you don't even need a service because validations is basically a bunch of functions. And that's I'm underselling it here. It's not a bunch of functions. It's a little bit more than that. But let me go there. Sample data validation schema. Okay. The Angular team called it a schema. So you said, okay, I'm going to create a schema. It's a schema, and I'm getting a field path of sample data. And you can already see how it works. I have a required meshes, a name is required. I have a validation form of the name. Let me see. A min length error, name is .3. This is a custom validation where I'm doing pattern and length checking. There are better ways to do this, but this is just me experimenting with the stuff. Min length error, pattern error. There are different kinds of errors. You can also create your own errors. In future versions, this will become easier, and you can just you can basically not right now because it will start complaining, but you can do something like return the kind of error is complexity,
I don't see your
and
cursor.
then you don't see over here. Oh crap!
It looks like it is frozen or something.
Let me stop and start my sharing again. That sometimes happens. Entire screen. This one. Share.
Yeah. Now we see.
You can,
Yeah.
yeah. You can return the kind with the name of the error, and then you can add a message.
Okay.
So this will be in the future. Right now, that doesn't work. It should work, but it doesn't. There is something more. I have date of birth, which is required. Also there is like, okay, it's a before and an after. I have different validations there. There are many validations here. And remember the password where I had like a boatload of errors there?
Yeah.
Apply password complexity schema. I separated that out. It actually means that you now can compose your errors. You can use subschemas to do parts of this thing, because if I would put everything in one validation thing, it would be like humongous. And that is not a problem if you're writing it right now, but if you need to maintain this thing long term, it is way easier if you can split it out a little bit. Now, password complexity, again, that is a field path of string. A password is just a string. After all, it is required. It needs to be at least six characters. I'm using a custom
Is it
error
frozen
here.
again?
It is, what the crap? I reinstalled my computer like a little while ago, and it sometimes does this.
I think the main message is clear. It is yeah, it's a new way of doing validation, and I also think it is much cleaner than everything we had with reactive forms or temperature forms. So really, really nice.
So you can see my, yeah, now works again. I will keep an eye of it. I have must contain uppercase, lowercase, contain a number, contain a special characters. I'm creating an array where I return the array of errors. You saw that I had all the errors at the same time, because if you only return one error, you get people are typing and they get one error after another, and I'm giving them a list and the list goes smaller. I think that's a better UX, but that is something personal. But it is something I wanted to try. This is a little bit hard right now. Let's go back to the sample validations. Yes, still works. Another one. Let's go to the text schema, because that is a little bit more interesting. I have a minimum length of the text array of 7. Remember that I could have maximum of 7 tags in my thing before I got an error. That is the max length. Maximum, I had 5. I upped it to 7. I should update my error message.
Confusing message. Okay.
The const text schema. I have a schema here and I have a small helper schema inside. And this is for every tag. A tag is required. It has a min length. And this one is a validation that checks if in the whole list the same word is used again. Remember that I did the AAA so that the error goes, and both fields get an error in case of a duplicate, because I don't know which one they want to keep. I'm doing that here. I'm getting the value, I'm getting the state, and I get the value of. The value of is a helper function. The text is the value. The tag is the value I'm getting. I'm getting the key in parent, which is a helper function that gives you the number in an array. Like, hey, this is the index number in the array. And I get the text, which is the text of the value of text array, which is the thing I declared here, which is my array of strings. I'm mapping it out, and then here I'm checking if it's somewhere else. And if it's an error, I update the pattern error. And for every tag, I also, I have a special React thing. And then I use apply each. So for every tag I have, I use this tag schema. So it is so easy to compose. And those are pretty complex validations. I didn't opt out for a sample with easy validations. No, there are boatloads of complex things going on in here. And some of them are a little bit soft. I mean, controvert, you are not going to do this in real life, but it shows off the power of this thing.
Which version of Angular are you using in this example?
21. Yeah, it is the next version of Angular. And it is already in the next version of Angular. You just install and you just update to Angular Next, and you can do this.
Yeah.
So questions.
So how easy is it to migrate from reactive forms approach or a temperature forms approach to the SignalForm approach?
It's a full rewrite.
There was also the question on Reddit, and the answer was that there will not be something like an automatic migration, no schematic, because it is too complex. But maybe there will something like an AI supporting migration solution.
Yeah, the way this works is so different from the old way that an automatic conversion is out of the question. They are looking into an AI assisted conversion so that it can bring you quite far. But if you start working with this and you see how you can set it up, it's probably faster just rewriting the forms from scratch than it is to trying to rewrite them.
Yeah.
Trying to
you also fix a lot of bugs.
Yeah,
But can I reuse my validators? So
you
is-
can use. I have not looked into that, but yes, you can reuse existing Angular validators. And also, this is just, you have seen, this is just JavaScript. I have a validate, and you can do whatever you want here.
yeah.
So if you have a custom validation, you can do if my custom validator take to test, and then you get your custom validation probably returns a boolean, and then you just return something out of that. So yes, that is whole well possible. You just import it here and use it here.
Okay.
The existing validators are usable.
So instead of writing all this the different validators of like we saw on the password when you said, hey, check this, instead of writing all these validation functions and add them on the control, we add just this schema, which then is the wrapper around all these validation functions, right?
You create a validation schema. In this validation schema, you cater for all the validations that are possible in your form, and things that you're not showing in your UI will not be in your form. So that will solve itself. So you can do very complex validation. You can also do a validate when. I did that in my. I have that show. Oh, here. Apply when value. So if I have a sample contact email, I'm going to use the email address validator. If I have the fax, I'm going to use the phone number, and I basically copy pasted this a couple of times to show that you can do multiple validations with apply when value.
Yeah.
There is also an apply when, which is a little bit more powerful, but then you are not getting a value here, but you are getting a field, and that makes it not harder, but it is a little bit more work to extract the values. This is an the apply when value is a little helper over the apply when, and it just extracts the value out of the thing that you are sharing here.
Mm-hmm.
So you can cater. I don't know what you want to validate, but you can cater for anything in here. I extracted this into functions on its own. If you need to inject a service or anything like else, you can put those things inside of a service, inject whatever you need, and use whatever you need in your validations. I try to steer clear of that because I want to have my validators as clean as possible and not reliant on all kinds of other services.
Yeah.
But
So validator, which I very often built, was a validator which performs some kind of back-end validation, like we adding a new part number, whatever, and we have to check in the back-end is this number already taken.
There is going to be a HTTP validation where you can just call an endpoint and do something with the result.
So we go for the same approach like at the resource stuff. What's the result?
Yeah. I'm not sure it's in already, but there will be like HTTP. Yeah, it's not in here. There will be async there. I think there are in there already. I didn't look them up, but there are async validators. Validators can be async. So I think there is validate async.
Oh yeah.
And you do basically the same thing. But this is async, so you can basically use fetch here to get your data from the server and update it. The nice thing is that async validators will only run if all of the other validations are already green. Call it that. So and there will be on top of this, there will be an validate HTTP or something like that. That will basically be a small wrapper over the HTTP resource that handles a boatload of those things automatically for you.
Mm. Okay, I think I kind of like this approach. So when I'm thinking about my my client's project, which is a very typical enterprise application, which is loaded with dozens of forms, and all over the place. You have to put things in and validate and show stuff and so on. So I know we will never refactor all this, but I can see that we will use this kind of stuff in the next enterprise application when we start from
the nice thing is, and this is not ready yet, and they are still working on this, but SignalForms will work together with reactive forms, so you can extend your reactive form with pieces of SignalForms.
That's nice.
I'm not sure they are going to do it all the way around.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't look into that because I think reactive forms are, well, you know my opinion. But if you have an existing form, then you can start piecemeal adding SignalForm stuff there.
Okay. So, what have been your biggest issues with this? You figured out so far with this approach with the SignalForms?
What is the biggest? Well, what I really like is that it makes it so easy to do things. I've been looking for pitfalls and for things because I was used to the previous form, so I went in and I was only pleasantly surprised because it caters for everything I can come up with for enterprise and other kinds of forms.
So you seriously tried to break it, but it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I've broken it, but then I take a step back and look what I'm doing, and I'm going, yeah, okay, that is on me.
So it breaks you. Okay.
No, it doesn't break me, but I'm always going to the full edge, and then I'm pushing over the edge, and then I'm taking a step back, and like, yeah, it makes sense that this will never ever work because I'm pushing it a little bit too far. One of the things that I really didn't like, but that is going to be fixed, as I told already, is that you have to use those stupid functions to return errors. There is another one. Where did I show that? I had it somewhere. Well, I opened an issue because basically the return types, if you want to return multiple errors, where am I doing this? I was doing that somewhere in my code. Context component. Oh, my password complexity. I have an any here, and I hated that. But it turns out that because this is an array, and I wanted to have like multiple return values there, so I had to have an array. This thing works. You've seen it working, but I wanted to have like something like validators errors on validator results, something like this. And I wanted to do that without having like an error that doesn't compile, but there is no type on the moment that handles this. But that I raised an issue for that, and they are working on that, and it is already on the roadmap. So
okay.
The any is temporary.
Okay, good.
But that was the thing that I run into, like, okay, it's not an error, but it is also not not the thing I wanted to see. And that is also why I explained that you can, in the future, you can just return an object with kind and a message. That will probably be the solution to this. Then I can have here an array of validation errors, and it just works.
Okay, can you show me the part where you the template of this where you where this the template of the password part of the form?
Oh yeah, the tag, no problem. That is in the top level. Label for password, span password, input type password, placeholder password. This one, this line you mean?
Yeah.
Right, this is it.
And can you did you show us the show error?
Of course I can. This is I'm the show error is something I created because I needed it, and it is something you probably don't need in the future. But right now there are some things in there that don't propagate the errors to the UI correctly.
Okay.
So what I'm doing here, the show error, is I give it a text that I'm not using anywhere just now. I inject the control, which is the control thing that happens thing. I inject the document because I'm doing DOM manipulation. You know, there is a list there, so I'm doing DOM. It's a directive. I don't have access to the templates here. I get the input element, which is the input of the select or the text area element, and I'm forgetting one. There is another one that I don't have here. I'm checking the parent element. Remember that if I do this,
yeah.
Go away. I'm adding this list to the parent of the input so that I can use it there.
Okay.
That is easy for formatting and stuff like that. But that is how I solve this. That is not the only way. There are many ways. You can create a show error component that just takes the control and reads it out and iterates over it with Angular code. I just did it with a little bit of DOM manipulation. I create an error container with this create element. I'm using a computer to get all of the error messages out. I have an array with error messages in the form thing zitten. And that is inside of control state errors, which is an array which has like a certain structure. I'm just mapping it to a string array here, basically. And then I'm adding an error messages class. And in an after render effect, I'm getting the messages. I find the ng content attribute. I needed that for styling. Not that important. I'm setting that thing. If I have error messages, I'm rendering the error messages into the view. I attach the container and I set the custom validity, a word that is unpronounceable, so that it shows the error in the UI. And if it has no error, I'm clearing that one out and I'm removing the error container.
Okay.
So
and how is how are the errors shown if you don't have this custom attribute?
Not.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing would be that we could have a look in the template again, and could maybe we could just show the default way to do it. So we have signals for it. It's just another signal.
There is
show errors.
There is an error signal, so you can use the error signal for that and handle it completely in the template. I think that's a little bit backward, and I like to automate that away because I need that for every input anyway. So that's why I put it in a directive. I don't want to do that manually for every input or for everything. And why don't I want that? Because if we do that, we will get a different error handling on every freaking input. And if you have an enterprise application, you get 6 different kinds of errors. Sometimes it's above, sometimes it's below, and I don't like that stuff. I say, hey, we design a way this should look, and I make something universal for that. So that is my show error, but that is the way I like to do it. If you prefer to have like different error messages on different places all over your UI, go ahead, use whatever you want.
Not. Totally agree with you, but there are also other solutions for that. So
There
maybe
are
you
many solutions.
wrapper components for inputs, for example, and they do it in a common way. But I think it would be nice. Maybe we could just do it, or just write that one line in the template, only to show that it is more difficult than in reactive forms. The other way around is it is much easier than before. So.
I can do this.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So
and this is stupid. My autocomplete uses old crap, so this is probably not. But you get the idea. You can do this.
It is a signal. You can just
errors is this should be like this actually.
Yeah.
And for that, it has. So this is it. And probably here you should then do something like because the error message can be empty. If you didn't consequently put errors everywhere in your validation, there is probably not a message. Angular, the validation system doesn't provide default messages.
Yeah.
So you can handle this multiple times, but indeed you can make a small component that does this completely for you, and you have like a show error component. I did it with a directive. Would this compile? Let me check. Apparently it compiles. Let me check if it works. Nope. I'm still getting the red banner, but I'm not getting. But that's probably my code with the ngIf that is not working at all. Oh, of course it doesn't work because I didn't import the common module or any of that. So.
Okay. So if you change it to add if and add for, it should work.
Yeah.
That way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, well, I'm not going to do that. But indeed, if you do add if, I can do add for error of is a little bit. Why can I? Oh. This should work.
Oh yeah.
This is really nice. So yeah, we just have our model. We put it in a function. We get a form, and we not only get the form, but also extra signals like for the errors.
Extra signals for the errors, extra signals for valid, required. There are a boatload of signals there. There is a pretty hefty form stating that has what you also the touched and the untouched and all of the things that you ever wanted.
Also submission, I think, right? For submit and even the time for submitting when it is not fully submitted, but pending.
No, this is yeah. There are even things to handle is submitting and so on. If you want to implement that, I'm just not allowing a submit when. But indeed, you can handle more states than you could before because you can keep the data even while the submit is done, is being gone. And then you can go back and say, hey, my error gave some errors, and you can update the existing form with the errors and just display it again.
Mm.
Even if you have moved away from your component. if you didn't define it in your component. You can define a form also in a service.
If you kept the state of the
if you kept the state of the form, yeah.
Yeah.
But if not, you can just hook it up again, put in the errors, and go back.
So, in reactive form we have this on value changes and error changes and so on. This is the kind of state changing events you were just talking about, right?
Yeah, but those are signals, so they don't have. They are reactive by definition. They don't have like a changes thing going on.
Yeah.
If you want to listen to those changes, you can use an effect of a computed or a linked signal or whatever.
So that there will be never a signal which emits on error like this, right? Because
there will be an error signal, and that will be an empty array or an array with errors in there.
Okay.
There is never going to be anything in flux. There is always an error, and in most cases it will be an empty array. But if it isn't an empty array, you probably should do something with it.
So we don't need to have this optional chaining anymore in control dot error optional chaining dot required, this stuff, right?
Nope.
Because errors is always there. It's always an array, and it will never be just a null like it is in the reactive.
I'm not entirely sure how it pans out because it is experimental. Right now, it's an array.
Okay.
And it will always be an array, but it can also be an array or null. That can also be the type.
Okay.
But if they do that, I will tell to them that I think that is stupid. An empty array is easier to deal with.
I will watch and follow this discussion then in the GTE channels when this happens.
Well, if you have been following around, you have seen that I have raised a couple of issues there and have triggered some conversation between team members there, even because sometimes they have very experienced engineers there, but they have very limited exposure to building applications.
Yeah.
Building a framework, I've done all of those things. I've been building forms I'm building form applications for over 4 decades. That predates the web. So yeah. And also I've been building frameworks, so I have done both. And those are really, if you're building a framework, you're in a different mindset for building an application. And sometimes you want to provide things that an application provider actually doesn't need at all. I would say React Forms, but no, there's no one that needed reactive forms, for real.
I think it's a different topic, but I think at the end we are all happy because we have something new that is good for all of us.
This is so much better. This is this is a good proper forms module that handles all of the nasty things we had to deal with in the past. Remember, if you want to do a subform in one of your components, like I'm doing here in the context component, where I'm just passing a part of the form to another component. Do you know what you had to do in a reactive form or in a template-driven form to do that?
Yeah, you have to emit the error or validation state to the next.
No. It's quite simple. You have to do a view provider.
Yeah, quite
view
simple.
provider, provide control, use existing, and not provide, not control. Yeah, this comes from but you have to provide the ng control, use existing something, and then it hooks up, because it will work, but you will not get the errors in or out, which is insane. And you have to do this stupid view providers thing.
Yeah, your form will be invalid, but you have to look through all the inputs to find the actual error. This is something I really did so many times that you
had to do the view provider thing, and then it works. I've created this exact same work with template-driven forms, where I was also doing template model-driven validation like this, but then using Vest instead of the new Angular stuff, because there was no new Angular stuff back then. And that was way less code than I started out to do the same thing with reactor forms, and after like an hour, I said, I'm not going to do this. It's just too much work. It's just not going to fly. With template-driven forms, it was already possible, but this is even less code than I did for the template-driven forms.
So John Stamatelos just sent a message.
Hi, John.
And said this was really good, thank you. So I guess there are some people out there in the stream which found this very helpful. So I'm really looking forward to this to start playing. I guess I need to play around with this.
I guess you should, yeah.
You convinced me totally to start digging into it and just playing around with this, because it's very easy and very. So I really love the signals approach and all the benefits of signals, and I feel very sorry every time when I have to step away from it because there is no signal based solution. So this is something, yeah, I love.
Yeah, there is some other problem with the current form modules in Angular, because Angular has change detection. Change detection works top down.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty good idea until you want to do forms, because forms are bottom up by design. So if you're, and that means that if you have like the things like the password thing where you have to, okay, I'm typing here, but I need to update another one. That means you are not going top down anymore, and you're also not going bottom up, but you go to a sibling. And the current setup in Angular has no proper way of doing that. And that means you have to do all kinds of hoops with mark dirty and to get your form to work.
Oh yeah.
And you have, and I'm only saying mark dirty. There is even way more that you have to do, and you have to jump through hoops to get this thing working. And that comes because the change detection works top down, forms are bottom up. This thing is using signals. Nobody cares which way the data is flowing. There is a signal changed, and everything will just get updated.
So in a all signal based application, we will never have this NG100 error.
What is an NG100 error?
It's the expression has changed after it has been checked error.
Oh no, you can get that. Yeah, you can still get that.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's way more difficult, but I've been able to reproduce that error. Yes. Usually when I do something stupid, and then I go like, why am I getting this error? And then I look into it and I say, yeah. But you can use effects. I've used one effect in here. If in an effect you update a signal that is used in the same effect again, you have basically the same thing.
Oh yeah.
And then you should hope that you are not updating it depending on the value, because then you have an endless loop.
So you should use there something like untrack.
You should be using something like untracked, but even if you do untracked and you update a signal, at a certain point of time, the thing will get re-evaluated and it says, oh, this thing has changed, and it will rerun again. So yeah, be careful with effects.
Oh yeah.
But that is a whole other talk. That has nothing to do with it here. You basically, I've been training myself to not use effects as much as less as possible. Because it is so easy to shoot yourself in the foot if you're using effects, and you barely need them anymore if you if you set up your applications in a maintainable or reusable way.
Yeah, and if you are on Angular v20, you can get rid of effects almost all the time, because mostly where I use effects at the moment, because I don't have another any way to get around of it, is when I want to get a function call or request inside a component when an input is changed. And this is a use case I have very often I have I can fix with the effect, but in the future
You
when
you
I
can
update, I can use the resource.
yeah, you can use a resource for that. But the resource was already experimental in 19, so you could have been
Yeah, we
using
are
it
on 18.
for a while.
We are on 18. We
Time
are
to update. You're 2 versions behind. That is, you're a GDE, David. That's
it's not only my decision. Yeah,
yeah. Sometimes it is what it is, and you need to be on an older version for a while.
yeah.
Is there something you? Oh, I will show the data model because that is actually a simple data model, but complex enough. I have the text, which are a string. I have the context, which is the sample contact detail, and I have the sample contact detail type, which is basically just an enum.
Okay.
This is the whole thing.
Is this code somewhere available on GitHub?
This is in my samples repo. So if you go to GitHub, my name is Sander Elias /samples, you have found it.
Okay. I will check it out.
I think you asked the same question in the past time, and I think I gave the same answer.
Yeah, I was pretty sure, and I was pretty sure that someone who will watch this video or is looking here is uh, asking the same question or will comment this in the future. So I was
Yeah,
1 week sure.
the code is there. It's currently in a branch. I will probably merge this branch in the coming days and put it on the main. But right now it's still in a branch because I'm still experimenting a little bit.
Okay.
So if there are no more questions, I think I will stop sharing my screen.
I
Unless you are.
really love it. 84. There is samples. I really love this stuff. Best signal form. Yep. Found the
Yeah, I will send a link with the full thing to the code. It is somewhere. Let me see. There are some more samples there. It's in source app SignalForms experiment. So
okay. It's so funny. So I definitely will start digging into it. And so I need to check when I will be able to do it. Next week I will have AICT. This is his username on this stream. He's a very regular viewer, and we he was already on this stream. He is a security expert, and um, he will be on my stream next week, and we'll talk about architecture and some security stuff about around this. So maybe this will be interesting for one or another of you. Oh, there's a message from Hector Set or Hector C. It just says, "Hi, Sander." Maybe
I
someone who knows you. Hi.
there are a couple of people that know me. Yeah.
I learned about it and that you are a very well-known person. Okay. So Konstantin, what is your first impression of SignalForms?
I'm really impressed. I've been waiting for it quite some time now, as I already said. I started using signals very early in my project, and this is still the missing piece. And now we have this preview, and it is just great. It is just great how easy it is to use it, and how powerful it also is. So I think there are a couple of very good decisions made, and I will be glad using it as soon as possible.
Okay. So you would talk to your clients and start um, recommendations to study. Hey, let's switch over, but it's very experimental. Don't care. It's it's nice. Or like this.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah,
the
it
thing
depends
is,
on the project.
yeah, it depends on the project, but also be aware this is experimental, so something might change.
Mm-hmm.
I don't expect. I expect breaking changes, but I don't expect changes that need like a full rewrite.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably going to be things like I said, like okay, now you need to have a special function to return an error that will be gone, and there are a couple of more things that will be a little bit more streamlined, so you don't you need to hump even less hooks than before. But I don't expect that they are going to say, hey, this is nothing. We are going to do in a complete different direction where you need to rewrite all the code you have already written. I cannot guarantee that, but the chances are very, very slim that that is happening unless there comes like a real big problem out of it. And that is one of the reasons that I'm pushing the envelope on this thing, because if there is something really breaking in there, I want to know now before I go deep in it, because then we can fix it and we can get a better iteration. But
Mm-hmm.
this is something that we need. Signals are the way to go. It's so much faster for the change detection and everything.
So there's a from Hector C. There's a question. Um, do you think the Angular team will deprecate the reactive forms and template driven after releasing signal forms?
I have asked them. I basically I told them you should deprecate the old stuff, but they said no, 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 no. We are not going to deprecate anything anytime soon. Um, uh, Reactive forms and template-driven forms will be there for a long time, because basically there is no schematic.
Yeah.
So if there was a schematic, they would probably say in 2 or 3 versions, like, okay, we're done and we are going to. But should you wait until it's starting to be deprecated? No, do yourself a favor and start using this stuff, um, because it's probably it might not even the old form module might not even be ever deprecated, but you're not doing yourself a pleasure by keep using them.
Mm-hmm.
This is so much simpler, and this just works, and it doesn't have all of the edge cases you have with template and reactive driven forms. I've written libraries that work with those form modules. I've digged into the code from reactive forms and from template driven forms deep into the code, and there are so many edge cases in those things, and they know about those, but they cannot be fixed because people are depending on those edge cases to be there. That is how it works. With if your reach is big enough, someone is always depending on the things that you have kind of mistaken done,
Yeah.
and then you cannot change it anymore. So there are a boatload of things, and one of the things is the I've shown the team, like, hey, there is an error in this line of the code. That is where they are using for the from control thing. There is a not a skip self. It only looks on self, so it
Okay.
injects the ng control on self. If that self was not there, it would work flawlessly. You won't have this stupid thing with the view provider, and it would just work. I tried it. I compiled an Angular version where that one thing was not there, and it worked so much better. But they cannot take that out because it breaks a boatload of projects.
Uh,
So every
Backward
every bug
compatibility.
every bug fix will become a breaking change if the bug is there
Old
for
enough.
some time. Yeah.
Yeah. This was by design. For some reason, they decided that we are not going to allow subforms.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to do that, you have to do this special setup, which makes no sense, because if you are putting a couple of fields inside of a component that is inside of a form, you want to use the same form. You don't want to use a new form, and you don't want to do jump through hoops to hook it up. But that was by design, and that was a mistake in the design, if you ask me. there will be a little bit more nuanced if you ask the Angular team. But and there are a lot more of those things. If you look in the code of this thing, it is so much more mature. They made sure they didn't make the same mistakes again, and this thing is so much more well engineered, which makes sense because the form modules basically goes back all the way to Angular 2 from the first get-go, and yeah. It was even before Ivy and before a lot of other things, and they had to they had to deal with a boatload of things that are now already solved in browsers, and TypeScript has become so much better, and a lot of things have become better. And no one ever wanted to. They kept the forms running, but no one ever wanted to go in there and really fix the thing, because that would A, break a lot of other things, and B, it is not the nicest code to work in. It is. It's really a lot of code for that is very not self-contained is not the correct word. How do you call it when code is relying on itself, but not in a neat way? I don't know. There's probably a nice computer science word for that, but that is what's happening. The code is relying on itself, and it's relying on its own quirks, which makes it hard to do anything there. It is possible if you sit down and you go sitting with a couple of engineers and you do a couple of things. But
okay,
don't.
There's another question also from Hector C. What I understand about control value accessor, it turns your custom component to a form control. Yes, it makes it accessible for the form.
Oh, that is one thing I didn't show. Can I show you how to build a custom form control?
Yeah. Let me just finish the question. So, do you still need this custom value accessor? If we do, does it work well with SignalForms? And now, when you said, "Oh yeah, I want to shade," he answered, "Hooray!" So I guess he was waiting for this. Okay, let's please show.
Okay. Let me quickly create a custom form concept. I'm just going to code something up here. Custom thingy. And this should be a component. Compo.
Can you zoom in a bit?
Come on. There.
Oh, nice. Thanks.
Component. Hey. Happened. Where was I doing the thing? Okay, I will start over. Component.
All these small helpers to make you work faster and type less just make you type more stupid code.
Done.
Wait.
Wait. I'm not done. I did. I used to.
Yeah.
Why am I getting an error? Did it import
the right
all?
model? Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's model. Dot required string. I have no idea why I'm getting squiggly. This should just work, but it doesn't, and it's probably because I want to type something fast. But this is actually all you need to do. This is a working component.
Okay, and the import control, the control is
Actually, I would.
I know, yeah. Victor C also. This squiggling line is because you can use model only inside of an Angular component, and therefore you need to use the decorator component.
You mean this thing?
The add
thing.
the auto completion.
Oh,
add component. So this one. Thank you, Hector. Hector C.
yeah, and I should not be using control here because that is not working because it is not a control. It is now a normal signal. I will be doing something like value is value and no, not control. Value is value. I don't need this, and I should do input. So this is our complete custom input control. Okay. There's little value in here.
What was this control which you just imported?
Yeah, the control means that I'm using a signal form control inside of a custom control.
Okay.
And I want a custom.
It is the only dependency we have with SignalForms. So no reactive forms module anymore, no forms module anymore, no signal form module, but just this one control directive we need to import.
There is control, there is field, there is Angular forms signals. So there is a module, which is not a module. It's just a bunch of functions that they are exporting.
ES6 module.
Yes, yeah, it's an ES6 module indeed. So there is a forms module and you import from that. But also if this thing is required is input. And now you have handled the required in the thing. So it is so easy. And there will be a type here where you can do something like field edit component. There will be a type here so that you have field edit component. Is that no?
But it is. Do you want to interact?
Yeah, there is a thing you can extend from that. Make sure that you add all.
Extend is just missing. Okay.
Yeah. There is a extend and there is a field. Custom field. There is one. It's already there. I don't know the name.
Okay.
But basically what it needs, you have to have a value which is a model, and that is basically it. And then if you want to hook up with the other things in the control, like required, like the errors, you can have the errors in here also. Then you have like errors is input. Control something and then it will get it.
Okay.
Also, you can inject the control here. No, you cannot. Sorry. Strike that. That makes no sense.
So Hector C is already celebrating because it says bye control value accessor.
You don't need that anymore.
We will miss.
No, we will not.
No, we will not miss him.
For sure.
Although if you are really into value control accessor, you can hook them up with SignalForms. So if you have existing things, you can use those with. So if you have an existing custom control that is using value access control accessor thing, whatever, then you can just hook it up and it works with SignalForms.
So, but this component now has no dependencies, right?
This component, this is working fine with SignalForms, but it has no dependencies.
And how does the SignalForms now know how to handle this require and min length stuff?
Magic. No, it looks at this thing and see, hey, it has a model called value. So, okay, I know how to deal with this.
Okay.
They,
this is something which is built in the signal forms stuff. It just checked for the components that it has a value. Let's check if there are any attributes I know for attributes for my.
there are a lot of attributes like min length required, max length, min, max, all of the normal HTML input attributes. Most of them have like something that the signal forms recognize, and they look at the component. You say, hey, use this, and then the control directive, because the control is a directive that looks at your component and see, oh, it's there, I will just hook it up.
And next question, and if I handle the validation from the parent, how it will reflect on the custom component?
Something, and it's probably input dot required, and then there is a type for the errors. Error field validation errors from validation error, array, or null. So now I have the errors, which is a signal of errors inside of my component, and I can do whatever.
Okay. It is so. I'm just stunned, and so I'm nearly speechless because it's just so.
Yeah.
Take this. So that's stunning. It was Hector C that. Oh, XC was taken. Hi, welcome to the chat.
Hi.
So this what I really love about the Angular next generation means version 2 until now is that it many things are very easy to see and understand because it's just this JavaScript stuff and you can read the code and you can understand it. But this breaks with this pattern because there is some stuff and it works. And this is something I heard a lot when I teached Angular JS back in the days, and they came up with maybe you also can remember this phrase, the Angular magic. Is this the way back to this Angular magic?
No, there is no magic here. There is no magic. If you start working with this, it all makes sense and it is easy to pick up how it works.
Okay.
So there is no magic. And in the past, there was some magic. We had some digest things going on, and my first Angular application that I delivered to customers was on version 0.9. So
same for me.
Yeah. So I
scopes,
started.
I remember the scopes and the root scope, $root scope, and such things.
Yeah.
Oh, Angular just.
Yeah, I started with Angular in 2009. So
oh,
yeah.
That's really. I started 2012. So.
Yeah.
I was also starting in 2012, I guess, and yeah. Oh yeah, so it's not the way back to this Angular magic, but it's
no, there is no magic. This is all pretty good documented, and it makes sense if you know how errors are hooked up. It makes sense that the other signals in this field state are also available on this thing.
Yeah.
And that is why I wanted to show the extent with the. But I don't remember the correct type.
So is there already documentation in the Angular Next or in the Angular.dev version?
Yeah, perhaps. The API documentation is there because that gets generated from the source, and there is already documentation inside of the sources. The problem is there is no getting started. There is no do this, do that, nothing. So it takes a little while to get started.
Yeah. Because when I saw the threads in the GD slacks and so on, I was okay. Let's have a look because it sounded very official and the discussions about this, and so I was looking in the the guide and in the tutorial and all the stuff and the reference for this. I didn't find anything. So
yeah, there are things. I have no idea what type is called. There is a type that sets up so that you can just autocomplete all of the things that you can input.
okay.
Or there will be a type. It might be that I'm speaking before it actually exists.
Maybe you are ahead of time, yes?
Yeah, that is possible.
So this okay. I I really love it. So now I need to find a way to convince my client to update to Angular Next and rebuild the complete application, which makes me having tasks for the next 5 years, I guess.
Oh, it's much faster now.
I'm available for rent, so I will do it a little bit faster than 5 years, though.
Okay.
Maybe you could repeat the timeline again for the audience. So, as you already said, this is available in Angular Next.
Yeah.
But the first official version, final version containing it will be Angular 21, right? So it will be released in.
It will be experimental in Angular 21.
Yeah, and it is planned to release it in November, I think, right?
Yeah, yeah, and it looks right now it looks like it will be indeed experimental in version 21. But there is no official thing there. I'm like 85% sure that it will be there, unless something really strange happens, and I don't see that. I've kicked this can for a week now, and I don't think it's going to sync. But you never know. There are a lot of people inside of Google that has some say about this. So it will be there, and it will be there, and I hope it will go. If it works really, really well, it might be even in 22 in non-experimental. But then again, it might also not be, because there are a lot of edge cases and things on the corners of this thing that still need to be finished off. Like like resource was experimental in 19, it's still experimental in 20, and it might be even experimental in 21. There are some timing things there, and the Angular teams will make sure that the things are really solid if they are going from experimental to dev preview.
Isn't there still the rule something a feature needs to be at least one major release in the status developer preview before they finally release it? I think it was
yeah, something like that.
Past.
Yeah, but if it's in dev preview, you can use it for sure. Experimental, and they break it, you're on your own. There will not be a schematic. This is the big difference. If they make anything breaking in an experimental API, you're on your own. You need to fix this yourself. Yeah. You probably need to do a search and replace and update this in a couple of places. Yeah. Which sounds worse, but usually in a modern editor, it's like an hour, 2 hours tops, and you have updated those small things. When they go from experimental to, how's the other one called?
Developer
that when they do a breaking change, then there will be a schematic.
Yeah, because developer preview is it's a sneaked in state between experimental and stable to have a stable version which they are allowed to update or change very quick without making all the stuff.
A breaking change, yeah.
Yeah, and all the stuff, yeah, and make it there and set it as deprecated and keep it until they can remove it. So this is just another name for stable, but with the possibility that they can change something very quick. Because in Google there's this this rule that if something is stable and you want to change it, you have to keep the version which you want to update or break, change. You have to keep it for, I guess, 1 or 2 versions as deprecated before you can remove it.
No, inside of Google is a different story. Google has almost 4,500 Angular applications internal, and those all work from the main branch directly. So if it's on the main branch, it's used in Google. Google doesn't use version numbers. If you go to a Google application that is using Angular, you will see there is a version 0.0.0.0 in there. That doesn't mean they are using Angular 0. That means that they are using their internal version, which is basically a copy of the current main. The current main always. So if the Angular team breaks something, that breaks like 5 apps, 5,000, not 5,000, 500 apps inside of Google, they are responsible for fixing this. And that means those fixes will be in the main before the main gets published on Git. So what gets published to us is already battle-proof tested by Google itself. And that is something I really, really like about Angular. Mm-hmm. They have the biggest test suite around. They have like 4,500 applications that are being run with Angular with the main branch. And they work like that. That is the way. And if the Angular team breaks something, they are responsible for fixing all of the breakages. So that is why they are very, very careful with breaking changes. But if they are
it's also the reason why they came up with the schematics with these huge automatic updates scenarios, because they don't want to nanny 4.5K apps.
Yeah, that's it. Also, if something is marked as experimental, even then, if they use it internally in Google, they are responsible for their cells. So that is why some things. But overall, in Google, if the product that is using it is big enough and they break something, the Angular team is responsible for fixing it.
Incredible how they work. It's just incredible for me. But it's also very great.
I lost audio. Is it me or?
No, I can hear you. I can hear Konstantin. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Okay. Yeah.
So it was just I can understand Konstantin and I can understand you.
Yeah. Well, okay. Probably off.
So, in my opinion, if somebody would start a bigger project like from scratch, like a greenfield project, they should probably start using SignalForms from now on.
Yes. Yeah, it will probably break a little, not completely, but it will probably break a little before SignalForms will be stable. But if you need to build something new and you are now going to build it with template-driven forms, that is a way bigger breaking change than what you're going to do if you are going to use SignalForms. Mm. In my own stuff, I actually never, in my own applications, I never used reactive nor template-driven forms. I was always using my own form modules.
Very interesting.
And in the last couple of years, I think since Angular 18, I was using already a signal-driven forms thing, which is basically just a couple of directives that hook up directly to HTML forms. Forms are not that difficult, and if I need to use code that makes using forms more difficult than it needs to be, I'm not going to use it. So I was not using the Angular form modules, but I will be using this one. This makes my life easier, not harder.
This is a very important statement, I think. If somebody as experienced as you when it comes to forms says that's it, it's just making our lives easier, then
yeah, there are also a lot of things in there, and there are a lot of details that I don't want to speak over yet. but that make this even more an even better choice than doing anything else. This will be extensible, so you can add your own properties to the field state. You can add your own properties to all kinds of subfields, which makes extensibility really core and center to this whole form state setup. For example, what I was missing is like, okay, if you have a form entity, you don't only have an input, you also have like a label, you also have like a placeholder, you also have like a description or a helper text, you also have there are a lot of things that are surrounding a form. All of those things you can later on bolt onto this field stating, which makes it so much more powerful. And then it becomes, if you embed all of those metadata into your form state, that actually means you can make very generic components that use your version of forms of the field state, and that just make dynamic forms a snap, because you just say, hey, here is my data, and you inspect the data and you say, oh, I need this field and this field and this field, done.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, if you want to have fun on a conference and you meet standards, you just need to speak out loud that you love forms, especially if you speak out loud you love reactive forms, and then you will have fun for the all night. And I know that I guess you also know Gregor Voivode. I guess I guess one of the guy of NGXS. I'm not sure, or NGDAX. I'm not sure if he's in there still. And he's also a very big fan of the template-driven forms approach. And he quoted you in some discussions. And so I tried to get him in on the stream because he just did an office hour about SignalForms. I guess a few days ago, but he is in the car on the way home, so it's not possible to have him here. But maybe you will someday you will meet him, I guess. Oh, and one, I have a very important question, because we don't wait. Let me just start from the beginning. It's totally off topic, okay? Just for it. We don't have pets at home, but we have a visitor cat. So this cat visits us every day, and sometimes she sleeps in our house. And it took us, I guess, 3 years to get information about who is the owner of this cat. And so I recognize the cat and the mouse in the corner of your IDE. What is this?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean my small pets in here? There is a dog and a cat.
A dog, okay.
Yeah.
You can even throw balls at them. It's called VS Code Pets.
Okay, so I need to.
I saw that on a conference talk last week, and I'm going to install this thing. It's stupid but fun at the same time.
it's fun. So we need some stuff.
If you want, for example, want to add the dinosaurs, you can give it a name, Herbie, and there we go.
Nice. Oh, funny.
This reminds me on something very very old. You know sheep exe? It was for Windows. It was for executable file. If you execute it one time, you have one sheep walking around on your screen like your pets, and you can have it multiple times, and then you have multiple sheeps, and you can put them around and play with them. You know that?
Yeah. There are many of these kinds of things.
Oh, that's just came up another question of Victor C. He asked if you still have the same functionalities like touch, dirty, and so on.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
You have signals
Yes,
for all of those things.
Okay, VS Code pet. Okay, I need to have a look at it, and I need to install it, I guess, because it's fun. So maybe. Oh yeah, every time when I'm bored in the project or in my whatever, and
Yeah,
then
you can throw balls at your pets, so
yeah, nice.
Great.
Stupid fun stuff just for developers because we are all just kids.
We are.
yeah, we never grow beyond 12 years.
No, sometimes
Great.
I can see this totally, for me at least.
Yeah, also we love syntax coloring, not because it adds any value, but we love pretty colors.
Yeah. So okay,
Oh, I have another one. By the way, this is a tree node. This
yeah,
is a recursive signal form. I completely forgot about it. This is an entire recursive thing. I can show it also if I remember. Does it still work? Yeah, apparently. I think it is 3. This is a recursive thing, and I can add children to children to children
You
until
can build a family tree.
this is, yeah, you can build, yeah, this is just a basic tree with just one input field with whatever you want. And look at the amount of code that thing takes, which is next to no. Also, there is validation in there. And this is the entire code. This is all of it. Let me make it a little bit smaller. It fits on one screen.
incredible.
So you see, I have the ID, tree node ID, tree node name, and then I have for all the children value, child of tree node. I'm injecting myself, tree node, child, done. But it is also validated. So
Unbelievable. So
there is signal tree. The signal tree. Here is the function, the schema. I have disabled and read only the ID because I don't want people to edit the ID. And the name is required with a min length of 2 and apply to each children myself. That's it. I have a fully validated, unlimited recursive tree in a couple of lines of code.
unbelievable. How little time amount of lines of code is. Just the controller is just a few. Hector
Yeah,
says,
if let me fold the data because that is the biggest part actually. If I fold away the data, which is hard coded in here, which you normally don't do, but I did it because I wanted to make a quick. It's like, okay, signal tree component, SE3 node edit. I start up with the top node, and in the tree node, I'm just iterating over myself. That's it.
Hector's comment on this is, I want to cry, and SignalForms are awesome.
Yeah, the thing was I heard Manfred babbling about tree validator things, and I was going like, tree validator? Why do we need a tree validator? Apparently, the tree validator has nothing to do with a tree, so that is going to get a new name. Okay. But it is a tree validator. There is a tree validator now inside of Angular, and it is basically meant if you have like 2 or 3 fields, and you have like I'm validating this, but I also need to validate another one, and I want to update the error or anything of the other one, which is the cross-validation thing again. There you can use the tree validation. You don't need to because I was already doing that without the tree validation. I learned about the tree validation thing later on. But there you can do that. I didn't dig into that. I will. But I was, hey, if there is a tree validation, I need a tree. So I built like this recursive thing with a tree in there. And then turns out I didn't need a tree validator at all because it just worked. And I was going like, hey, why do I need a tree validator? And I think Miles told me, yeah, the thing is badly named. It has nothing to do with a tree. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's for, you can validate other things in the subtree of the component. That's why they called it a tree validator, but it should be like a multi-validator, or I don't know. It should get another name, because tree validator. I don't need a tree validator. Why do I want to validate a tree? Everything is already working, but that was not what it was. So
yeah, but by that way you ended with this very, very interesting and impressive example.
yeah, as I said, SignalForms are so powerful, and you can already use it to solve, I think, 99% of all enterprise things I have seen in the past, and I've seen a lot. It can be done. Probably you can find something that you cannot solve with this yet. But I doubt it, because the validators are basically just JavaScript functions. So you can, and you have access to the entire form tree if you need to. You can do whatever you want, but it is so powerful. And I really like that you can compose your forms now. You can split out parts of your form. You can create an address editor and give it an address with a type. Everything is typed. You notice that all the types are correct in this whole thing. And I didn't jump through hoops except from typing my model. But all my forms, all my subforms, everything is correctly typed. But I can say, hey, here is an address, and an address has a type, and you can just reuse that same component over and over again. You can say, hey, I have a tag component or a context component, and reuse that over and over again by just requiring a field with the type of what you're going to get. And
this is the nice thing. It's so easy to do that.
It is so easy, but it makes it. Composability is one of the most important things, and also you can compose your validators the same way. I think I showed my validators. I put my validators in a separate folder, just because I like having things in their own thing. I have an email address validation, which is now reasonably simple, but with email address at a certain point in time, they say, hey, we want to call a service to check with one of the endpoints. And then you just add a async validator here, and you have that. Or they say, no, we want to make sure that a .gov cannot enter. Then you add an extra validator here, and you're done. And you can reuse this email address, which is just a schema with a field pot of string. And in my context validation, I call those, which is apply on the value email address, apply on the value phone number. Phone number is basically the same. That is also a somewhat complex validator, but it's just a phone number. Phone numbers are everywhere in your UI, and you can reuse this validator over and over again wherever that you need it by just pulling it in by an apply. And that makes it so composable, and that is very, very important. You see, I have a boatload of validation stuff in here, and this is basically only the validation for one form. And this is what I do in all of my projects. I split it out to the core essentials, and then I start composing them, and that makes building complex UIs very, very easy, because you are not reinventing the wheel over and over again. You are not going to say, hey, I'm going to well, you had that a little bit with reactive forms, but composing multiple validations on one field was way harder there.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there's this question from so the validator function accept sync and async validators. Yeah, you need to call it the validate async, I guess, was it? And later on there will be as far as I understood, there will be also some kind of validate HTTP, which then it's a wrapper around the
Yeah, there is a validate async. It looks like this, and it just takes an async function, and you just return the error.
Unbelievable how easy and um, how easy to read. This is something which is very important for me because I'm hopping around. You know this. I'm hopping as a consultant. I'm hopping around between projects. So I'm working 1 or 2 months on this one project, then maybe 1/2 of a year I don't have anything to do in this project. So when I come back, I find code which I'm totally upset of, and I think, who was this guy? And then I recognize, oh, it was me 1 year ago. And so this, for me, it's very important to have code which I can read and I can get the idea what I was doing there. So and this comes with these small lines of code when it's well written and it's just, hey, we just go this it feels a bit like the approach they used at the NGRX framework when you get the create what was it? Create action and create reducer method and so on, because you have one method and inside of this you just call all the other stuff which then do something.
Yeah, I will not go into NGRX here.
Okay.
I have opinions there that are not following what most people are saying. Let me just leave it there.
Okay.
The thing is really important. Also, keeping your knowledge on one place is really important. So that if you go to a sample or to a component, you should be reading there, and it should be logic what is going on there. If I go to my SignalForm experiment component, I can see, oh, okay, the data comes from my service. I have a relation. I don't even have to go to that service to look what is going on here, because it is a signal. If it gets updated, I get an update and my form will be updating. So I don't need to care about that. I don't need to care if this is a hot signal or a cold signal, or if there will be a value or there will never be a value. I don't care. There is a value. It always has a value. Period.
Yeah.
So, and how the value gets there, that's the problem of the data service. I don't need to so that's there, and I have my form data, which is a form with the relation and my validations, and that's it. There is no business logic at all in this thing.
Yeah,
there is a very clean form setup here, which is not littered with all kinds of error crap and stuff. And that is why I do the show error. That's why I like to do that with things like show error, where I use a directive to show those things, because then I have a uniform way to display errors all over. And perhaps you noticed, if I'm doing this thing, let me go back to the other one. It still works. If I'm walking here, I need to take another one. If I'm going to type here, it needs to be at least. I broke that. Yeah, normally when there is only one error, it's not a list, it is just a string. But if there are multiple, it's a list. And that is all being done by CSS, but I changed a couple of small things like earlier this afternoon. And I broke the CSS for those things, because those things should be read like this.
So there is some appreciation in the chat. So Hector C says, "Thank you so much, guys, for such an awesome session. Thank you. I'm very happy you find this helpful." And,
me too. I hope a lot of people are going to use this thing, or at least experiment with it right now. If you have a serious business application, perhaps you should wait a little bit until it's a little bit further along. Use it for small parts where you can rewrite it in a couple of hours or in an hour. right back to whatever you had before. Feel free to use it. A lot of business say, no, we cannot use anything experimental for good reasons. But
Wow. So
I have found it is better to ask for forgiveness as for permission.
That's also true.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I just can just repeat what Hector C says. This was such an amazing session, guys. I really loved it to have you here. So one very last take. Is there anything we should know about you and your content you are doing? So this is the place where you can have some shameless plug and or
Well, I'm
ask
looking
for.
for a new challenge. So if you need a experienced developer, team lead, CTO, ping me. I'm available for rent. So, and I would love a new challenge. It needs to be a challenge though, because if it's boring to me, I will be bored out in a couple of months and will be not very productive anymore. But if you have a challenge for me, I will happily accept that and be working for you or anyone that wants to hire me.
And yeah, if you want to get in touch with him, if you scroll up in the chat, I posted the GitHub repository. I guess in GitHub we will find all your contact information, right?
Probably, but my name is my email address. So sanderelias@gmail.com, and you can find me there. Also, I'm on Blue Sky, Mastodon.
Oh yeah. At least
Not on the
the Blue
not on
Sky
the other one.
link is in GitHub. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Konstantin?
Currently, I actually have enough work to do, so I'm not available for projects currently. But maybe next year this could change. So you can contact me if you plan something next year. Also, we could maybe point out workshops.de. Dave, maybe you would like to show the page, and we can just show that there are trainings available. And also in the background, we are preparing new trainings for the new Angular stuff. So keep in touch.
I'm available for reviewing stuff like that also.
Oh yeah.
Ah, great. Great to know that.
Yeah. You can see if you are in the stream, you can see all the time the workshop DE logo in the right corner down. So down this way. Yeah, here. Somewhere in the corner. And just to there's something I want to the whole screen. I want to show the whole screen. Yeah, this one. Something I want to show you. Oh wait, let me just did it watch? Ah, wait, I can do this and make this here and so in the screen in the stream you just see the web page. You on the call on the meet you see my screen, which is not the same as the people see in the workshop in the stream. So this one. So this is our page.
So the people in the stream are seeing something different as the people in the stream that are
Yes.
not in the workshop but in the stream. But okay, yeah, I get it.
Wait, I can stop this and I start this one, and so now you should see the same
Yeah.
as the people. So first,
Great.
this is our page where we host a workshop, so you can check it and you can see there are some dates where we do workshops about almost everything, even AI and so on. And more important for me, it's some of my very hard stuff is NGDE, which is the conference I'm a part of the board. Here somewhere I should be. Oh no, I'm not a speaker. I'm one of the how it's called organizer. So yes, that's it. And it takes place in the beginning of November. So if you want to be part on the conference and meet people like Sanders, Konstantin, or me, come by and say hi and learn something about Angular. And this is on beginning of November. So let me just put this link in the chat as well, and then you can find your way there. Okay, that's it. Let me stop this. So I don't want to switch this into a commercial. Just some
Too late.
information. Just some information. So Sanders and Konstantin, so you both have been here in my stream for the second time. So I'm pretty sure we will repeat this for some content, for some topics. Let's find out which one. And let me say thank you for this. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your knowledge. Thank you for your time to present and explain and show all this stuff. And I'm really happy how it worked. And there's nothing left to do, just to say bye. We can wave into the camera and say bye, and then when we end the stream, bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.